The following program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Last night, Donald Trump issued a lengthy statement. It was another attack on Florida's Governor DeSantis. He called him Ron DeSanctimonious again and complained that he had no class or loyalty. That is rich. No class? Trump is dragging the Republican Party into the mud again. He thinks only he can win. He's conveniently ignoring his own record. As the Wall Street Journal points out, Trump lost big in the 2018 midterms. He lost the 2020 race, whether he admits it or not. And in 2021, he threw away the Georgia Senate races by insulting the popular Republican Governor Brian Kemp. This year, Trump-endorsed candidates lost in what should have been winnable states. Baldock in New Hampshire, Tudor Dixon in Michigan, Mastriano and Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania. In the all-important races in Arizona and Georgia, his candidates, Carrie Lake, Blake Masters, Herschel Walker, they're struggling. And now he's waging warfare, open warfare within the Republican Party. Democrats are gleeful, of course. Republicans are not, because they're asking the question that all politicians ask. Can he win? My opinion? No, he can't. Voters liked his policies, but they're not keen on him. Again, in my opinion, Americans don't want to return to the politics of insult and denial. I'll close with this. It's a quote from the Wall Street Journal editorial. Trump used to say, "We're going to win so much that you're going to get sick and tired of winning." Maybe by now, the Republicans are sick and tired of losing.
Are you ready?
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. How's everybody doing today? Hope you had a great weekend and all. It was okay here. It's getting much colder now. The wind's blowing, and right now it feels like 20 degrees out, even though they say it's about 40. But with the wind blowing, the wind chill makes it a lot worse. So they're expected to get snow in northern Maine near Aroostook County tonight. So it's winter is rolling in here, slow but sure, but it's coming. Soon we'll be neck deep in shit here. But it's nothing. We Mainers know how to deal with that crap. We're all set up for it. So it's good news for Ukraine because Russian military appears to be on the run to retreat, and they're letting go of territories, and people are very happy, and and they got every right to be, because it was a hell of a mess here. So excuse me. So with that going on, Putin, I guess, is feeling a little bit nervous because he was supposed to have a press event, but he scrapped that because of situation going on over there with people, with panic. Everybody's hair's on fire over there, I guess. My prediction is that this is going to hurt Putin. Okay, the Russians are not very forgiving with leaders that show weakness, and right now Putin is showing weakness because he couldn't win this fucking war that he started over there, and it cost a lot of people their lives. And I'm sure the citizens over there are not too happy with him, let alone the political leaders at the Politburo. Hey, get off of that. So his light is a little less bright than it was, so it's not going to be surprising if we wake up one morning and find out that he's either been assassinated or he's been removed from power. You know what I'm saying? And some other person will be sitting in his seat. So I'm just kind of waiting on that. So, with that going on, because those people over there, they were fighting for their democracy just like we were here. Only they were fighting it with violence and bullets, so we were trying to fight it with votes and rallies and stuff like that. But here, it seems like the biggest loser here in this midterm was Donald Trump, because everybody's turning on him now. The press is like, starting to turn on him, and people are coming out like his former vice president Pence has come out and said some stuff about him. Let me see, there's an article here. Okay. This woman, this show here on Fox News, they got an article here that's from Fox, and it's written by Hannah Panrick. This was just written a couple hours ago, and it's entitled "The View Co-host Mocks Mike Pence for Speaking Out Against Trump, Not the Savior of the GOP." The View co-host Sunny Hostin mocked former Vice President Pence for speaking out against former President Trump on Monday and said he was not the savior of the GOP. Hostin took particular issue with Pence tapping his foot as he spoke with ABC's David Muir, M-U-I-R, I guess that's how you say it, and recounted how he felt anger over the events of January the 6th. Quote, "All I kept on looking at was Mike Pence's right foot. Did you see how he was just tapping it and tapping it? Yeah, he was just tapping it and tapping it and tapping it. He seemed like a robot to me. I also think that certainly it does take courage to uphold the law, but it doesn't take a whole lot of courage to come out with your story when your book is coming out tomorrow, for which you made $3 to $4 million. So for me, he again is not the savior of the GOP," Hostin said. Then said the voters made it clear and that democracy was on the ballot. Quote, "So he can say whatever he wants with his tapping right foot, but it just says a lot." Well, like what? He was tapping his foot, and what did she derive out of that? It says a lot. Well, she seems to be the only one that can seem to think about what it might say. But the point is that, she just didn't like the idea of Pence coming out and saying anything against Trump. But, for a long time, Pence was like, keeping his mouth shut about everything. And now he's coming out and saying stuff against him. And that's a sign right there that, things are shifting. And they're not looking at Trump as the person who could keep their party together anymore. Because, look, I mean, he lost the last presidential election, okay? He lost. He lost the midterm election, okay? He lost the midterm election when he was president, okay? He's had more losses than wins here. I mean, and of course, him winning the presidency is a little bit questionable in that regard because of the interference from Russia and all the shit that was going on there. So this is a conceivably four-time loser who's going to try to run for president. He's going to announce this tomorrow, okay? He's supposed to announce that he's going to run for president again. And I don't think it's going to have a big as impact, on the Trumplicans as he thinks. The moderates have kind of already abandoned him right now, all right? And I think what took the floor out from under the moderates was the fact that he was backing all this bullshit about abortion and stuff like that, and these people just didn't want to hear it. You don't try to gain support by attacking your base, because hey, look, women are in the Republican Party, right? And I'm sure women don't want to see that right taken away from them either. All right, whether they want to admit it or not, the Republican women some of them have enjoyed the privilege of being able to have an abortion when they needed it. All right, So I don't care what any Republican says on that issue. It's only the minority that want to overturn Roe versus Wade, not the majority, not by a long shot. Okay. So I just feel like it feels to me like they jumped the gun when they got Trump in there. Okay. And he was rallying all these people together because of the crazy shit he was saying. Somehow they took that as a sign that this is the guy, this is the time to reach and reach far and grab all you can. They figured now's the chance. And I think what happened was they reached too far, they took too big of a bite, and it backfired on them, okay? They thought the country was ready for fascism. You know, I think that's what they really thought. They thought the country was ready to go fascist. And as it turned out, by the number of people who voted, America's saying, no, we're not going down that fucking road. Okay? Yeah, we didn't win. The Democrats didn't win big, okay? But we were holding our own now, okay? For the first time in what, they say 30 years or something like that. I mean, the first time since the 1930s, that's what I meant to say, that a sitting president doesn't lose, the majority in, the House or the Senate or something like that. Something along those lines. I can't remember how they said it, how they worded it, but it's historic. Okay, Biden's the first president in a very long time to have a midterm that didn't turn against him. Okay, it's still in his favor. So that tells me that the administration is doing right. And I seriously doubt this 44% approval number is really accurate. Because look how inaccurate the polling was during this entire midterm campaign. Everybody was screaming, red wave, red wave. It didn't happen. And the polling was backing up their mouth by saying it was going to be a red wave, and it didn't happen. Okay, so obviously they were getting their information from polling companies who were stacking the deck. Okay, they weren't doing their fucking job. That's why I was telling you days, weeks before this thing that don't listen to the polls. That's a new propaganda machine to get you to think that, oh, we're going to lose, so why vote? That's just their way of doing things now. Your way, how you figure out what the mood of the country is by reading the newspaper. Okay. Seeing what other people are doing around the country, what's going on, the job market, the economy, look at it that way, okay? That gives you a better feel than some nut job on TV, on the radio, on the stream or something like that telling you, oh, we got a 98% approval. No, that's not true, okay? Because the way they do polling is no different than the way they did it 40 years ago, okay? They haven't changed a bit. And so the way people do things today, nobody answers these calls that they get that have unknown numbers or spam callers. They don't answer these calls. And that's how they would get a hold of people. Okay, so everybody's phones today, the cell phones and even their home phones, will tell you that this call is from an unknown caller, and people usually don't pick up that. Okay, so these polling companies will do that. And I said before, they're behind the times. What they really ought to be doing is doing this stuff on the internet by, sending messages or something like that to get on there, because all you got to do is click and that's it. You don't get bothered anymore. Instead, they're still using telephones and cell phones and stuff like that. And like I told you, people don't answer calls that they don't robocalls or answers phones from numbers they don't recognize, especially if they're out-of-state numbers, because and I was getting peppered with these numbers here during the campaign, which I know they were campaign calls, and I didn't answer. Another thing too is when it would click over to the answering thing there, they wouldn't leave a message, and I knew right then, okay, that was a campaign caller. They ain't gonna leave a message. So I was getting numbers from all over the country, people calling my phone number, and obviously my cell phone number is up there for them to call, but I wasn't answering it. So if they were trying to do polling or something like that, they didn't get my fucking answer. So that's what I'm saying. People don't give any credence to these polling numbers. They will pepper you to death with those damn numbers, okay? But it doesn't mean a thing, okay? How many times have they been wrong in the past to 10, 15 years with those polling numbers that you can remember. They were predicting that, what was it, that Hillary Clinton was going to win, okay? And she lost. And they were predicting Donald Trump was going to win in the last, and he lost, okay? So, I mean, they haven't been right in a long time, these polling numbers. So that tells me they're way behind the times here, and they need to redesign how they collect this data, okay? But they won't do that because it costs money to update everything, to make it seem like, to make it more, along with the way things are done today. And so they were wrong there, and I knew they were wrong. Some people who were predicting disaster were wrong. Others were right because they were like me. They understood, how what the Republicans were trying to do to discourage people from voting, the messaging they were sending out, and they were doing that in every state, So, Trump, he's not the golden boy anymore now, and I think what's happening is that the Republican Party, such as it is, wants to hold up Ron DeSantis as their leader of the party, as it were. Okay, I don't know why they do that, but that's what they do. I guess whoever's the most popular is the leader of the party, but they really don't have much say at all in the Republican Party, whoever that is. Okay, it still goes by what seat is occupied. So anyway, despite everything that's happened, okay, I think Trump coming out and saying he's going to run tomorrow is a mistake. Okay, the Republicans aren't going to want to hear that. In fact, I think a lot of these people are going to feel kind of pissed off because they really don't want him involved in this race if they hope DeSantis will get it, because he's going to confuse the base. He's going to split the base, taking out the wackadoodles and leaving the moderates. And it's not going to be easy for them to be able to pick DeSantis or Trump with them doing that, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with that party, but they are in a pickle here, big time, and they don't see it yet until it starts to get close to that time when they have to choose one of their people to run for president. Okay, and I just it's like I think I said before, it's going to be quite a circus to see that party burn as it's trying to do something as simple as choosing a candidate, because that both DeSantis and Trump are going to play dirty as all merry hell. And in fact, today something I seen online had already come out, starting, I think, this fight. Is this article here from Advocate Channel, written by Ryan Adamski, entitled "Former Students Revealed Ron DeSantis Was a Problematic High School Teacher." With Florida Governor DeSantis up for re-election, several of his former students from his time teaching at a private high school in Georgia have come forward with allegations about his unbecoming behavior as an educator. DeSantis had just graduated from Yale when he taught history at Darlington from 2001-2002, though he does not have his time listed in any of his professional bios. He also appears to not have spoken on it publicly since obtaining national attention. Through interviews with New York Times, many alumni remembered DeSantis, who was 23 at the time, as cocky and arrogant. They recalled how he publicly embarrassed one student with a prank, attended parties thrown by seniors, and got into debates with students about the Civil War. Matthew Arney, who was a senior at the time DeSantis taught at Darlington, revealed that DeSantis expressed his strong views against abortion more than once. Arney's then-girlfriend had once informed him that DeSantis strictly believes the procedure is morally wrong. Quote, "He's pretty much held fast to what he believes in," unquote. Arney said, quote, "Mr. DeSantis was kind of a smug guy. It was like a kind of, I'm better than you, and we're all just kids, unquote. Several students recall seeing DeSantis at more than one house party thrown by seniors, some of which involved alcohol. Shortly after DeSantis left Darlington, a memo went out to staff reminding them that the fraternizing with students is inappropriate. On one occasion, DeSantis allegedly challenged a student to chug as much milk as he was able, resulting in him vomiting in front of dozens of his peers. Adam Moody, who witnessed the incident as a freshman, is now a school teacher himself. He said he can't imagine taking the actions DeSantis chose. Quote, I think about it now. I'm a teacher now in public school. I put myself in that moment, and it's just unthinkable, unquote, Moody said. Quote, there's a cruelty to the sense of humor. There's a cruelty to the mentorship, unquote. Danielle Pompey, who graduated in 2003, detailed how she felt that DeSantis treated her differently because of her race. She shared that he even made remarks about the economic efficacy of slavery in what she viewed as an attempt to justify it. Quote, Mr. Ron DeSantis was mean to me and hostile toward me, not aggressively, but passively, because I was black, unquote, Pompey said. Quote, like in history class, he was trying to play devil's advocate that the South had good reason to fight that war, to kill other people over owning people, black people. He was trying to say, quote, it's not okay to own people, but they had property business, unquote. DeSantis has been a key figure in the passing of anti-LGBTQ plus healthcare and education laws, most infamously with Florida's Don't Say Gay law, which strips the license of any teacher who discusses sexuality or gender in their classroom. Pompey believes Santis's views 20 years ago reflect his policies of division as governor. He had a good opportunity to enrich people to come there from the Northeast and show people in the South that we can blend, unquote, she explained. Quote, it seemed like he didn't want to do any of that, unquote. So, all of a sudden, something like this comes out about DeSantis. Wouldn't that be interesting if to find out that little nugget there of information was being sat on by the GOP to protect him while he was running in Florida, okay? So now they let that out. Or I should say somebody that was sitting on it was probably associated with Trump, because Trump wanted this guy as governor in Florida, and so they let that out, okay? They let that information out, which, like it just said in this article, it's not really in his biography of his 1-year term as a teacher, okay? But in that fucking 1 year, he made an impression on some of the kids there, and they don't have very good memories of him. So, I have to say, though, in my years in school, I never met a history teacher that I liked, okay? For some reason or other, most history teachers it seems to me like they have an agenda when they're teaching history, okay? They don't want to go by the fucking book for some reason or other. They want to interject their views into things, okay? You can't get a teacher that can just teach the fucking history and leave the opinions of what you're teaching in the books in the library, okay? Let the kids read that shit for themselves, but the teacher is only supposed to there to teach them the facts, and that's it. Save the rest of it for college, okay? If you want to know details within details within details, then, you'll get that when you go to college, and you can discuss that with your classmates, but in high school, it's more important just to know the facts and the dates, and that's it, okay? The rest of it, save for college. But DeSantis obviously was one that didn't believe in that and figured he was going to go all the way with teaching it, and a lot of kids didn't like it because his views obviously conflicted with a lot of their views. So when you have a student that doesn't believe in what you're teaching them, and that person confronts you, that teacher is likely going to deliberately fail that student because, hey, they're not towing my line, and so you're fucked. That's not what high school is supposed to be about. So anyway, like I said, this looks like a shot at DeSantis here from the Trumplicans, and I'm expecting there'll be more to come as time goes on. And I'm sure he will, the shots are already being fired at Trump. I mean, they've been shooting at Trump here all year long. I don't think there's much more that they can reveal about Trump unless there's some kind of sexual shit that he did, or maybe link him up with Jeffrey Epstein, okay? That can really seal his fate. But, we already got pretty much just how much of a crook Trump is. And if that ain't enough to keep Republicans away from that man, I don't know what is. Other than the things that I just said, if there was some kind of sexual, like he raped a 2-year-old or some damn thing, unless it's something like that, I don't see how the Trumplicans are going to turn away from this man. But it's not going to matter because they're even a smaller slice of the minority in this country than you can imagine. So whatever they think is not going to help him a damn bit when it comes to this campaign of his tomorrow he wants to do for president. And I think, there's going to be a push to have him indicted by the Republicans quick, to try to derail his presidential aspirations, So I wouldn't be surprised if soon after he announces tomorrow that he wants to run for president, that maybe a few days after that, they're going to say where we're going to indict Trump on these charges. I mean, they certainly got enough there to do it anyway. It was just the fact that the Republicans weren't going to allow that to happen, but now they just might. They just might. So that's going to be an interesting turn of events there. All right, let's have a commercial break. We'll be back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me. This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you. Original.
Have you ever wondered why cats randomly bite your hand when petting them? Well, here's why. This behavior is called petting aggression and is most common in younger cats. Sometimes the repetitive stroking stimulates hunting behavioral instincts to them. Not meaning that they want to tear your hand apart, but cats' instincts are to catch anything that moves.
Glenn? That's right. I'm on a hippo eating airheads.
I'd like a hippo.
Airheads have more fun.
We get it, Donald. You hate us.
To the Losers Project.
And hey, we're not your biggest fans either. But there's one thing you know. We've never lied to you. In a funny way. We're the only people you could trust. We told you that you'd lose. And you did.
But you didn't listen. Now you're losing.
That Mike Pence would stab you in the back on January 6th. And he did.
He's backing away from your train wreck.
How Mitch and Kevin were using your name for money and power. And they are.
Mitch McConnell's Washington consultants are making big money using your name.
And we told you Ron DeSantis was coming for you.
He's making it his Republican Party.
And now he thinks he's bigger than you.
You've probably heard this before, but it was smaller than we expected.
Now we're telling you the truth again.
And there's no one you can trust. No one.
They're turning on you. All of them. We tell you we're sad for you. But like we said before, we always tell you the truth.
Thomas, var det en lavin eller?
Ja, den är kontrollerad. Det är såna jäkla krafter.
Är det safe?
Ja, de vet vad de gör. Det är lugnt.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th to the 26th.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Well, my truck's got to be inspected soon, and I got to get it prepped for that. As you know, if you remember, my truck is very old. It's from 2006, and the body of it looks decent. Okay, I've covered over some of the rust spots on the body itself with my knowledge of building models I applied to the truck, and it's there's really no way to stop rust from spreading. I mean, once it begins, it's there, okay, and it's going to keep growing no matter what you do. But what I've done is over the areas where it was showing, I kind of covered over it with some, what is that shit they use? It's like black spray. It's supposed to be a sealant of some kind to prevent rust. But of course I ground down the rust to the bare metal first before I sprayed that stuff on it. I have a Dremel that I used, and I burned up one of them from pressing too hard on the thing. But I had two of them, so I used the other one, and I finished it, and it came out all right. I mean, you could still see if you get close where the paint stops, and so I did that. Over the summer, I just did the outer part of it, and now, I took it to a shop and I had them lift it, the truck in the air, so I can see under it. Okay, and I looked under there, and there's a few places where the rust has eaten through in the frame, And so I got to get that covered somehow, because they're really, they're really nosy and strict in this state when it comes to inspection, and it surprises me, because I'll tell you, I've seen vehicles on the road that the trucks are not nearly as old as mine, and they look 10 times worse than mine, and yet they're still out there driving them. And yet, when I bring my truck in to be inspected, they nitpick it right to death. And I'm thinking, well, why are you nitpicking that? You got a bunch of vehicles out there right now, cars and trucks, who look like they've been stove to hell from a fucking truck, and they're still out there driving the damn thing. I mean, I saw a car the other day that the front of the vehicle was like somebody had dropped an anvil on the nose of the car, and it was like dragged, tilted down into the, and they're still driving it. And I'm thinking, well, how is that safe for the road? Okay, my truck is in way better shape than that car, and yet they're sitting here telling me, you got to do this, I guess it depends on the mechanic. Whoever's doing the inspection is going to go by their idea of what, roadworthy is. And that shouldn't be the case. There should be, one thing, the inspectors should not be working at the shop that they work at to do the repair of your vehicle. They should be independent and inspectors who are not mechanics who are going to fix your vehicle. Okay? They should be separate from wherever you're in. So there should be a separate place just for inspections only. That's it. They get paid by the government, and that's it. Then they leave it up to you to take the vehicle to somebody to get it fixed. Okay? But they shouldn't let the person, the mechanic at wherever you're going, doing the inspection, because obviously they're going to tell you all kinds of things are wrong with it, so they can get you to come back and spend more money to get it fixed. You see how that doesn't work? They need to have independent inspectors, okay, who look at the vehicle and tell you honestly, because they got no acts, they have nothing in the game, okay, no skin in the game for them if they tell you fail, okay, because they know they're not going to fix that. You're going to have to take it to somebody else. We're just here to tell you whether it's up or down. That's it. So I think that's the flaw in the inspection system in this state, because every place you go to that has a big yellow sign that says we do inspections are also auto mechanics who do their work there. Okay, so obviously they're going to be nitpickers. Okay, so anyway, I got to get the truck in and have them see if I can't get them to do something about the holes underneath there, because there's one small hole about that wide that is forming under the floorboard of the driver's side. You could see the carpet a little bit in there, so that's got to be, they got to put something over that, a piece of metal or some damn thing, just weld it to the thing. And then in the back where the how can I say it, where near the rear wheel of the pickup, the bed itself, where the frame is, there's like maybe that long of a gap of a, where it's gone right through the metal, and that's got to be covered over too. So I mean, more of that I can get, but the whole underneath of the truck is like crusty. Okay, it's like really, it's all rusty and everything, and it's because of the roads in the wintertime around here. Whatever they're throwing on the roads to keep them drivable is also tearing everybody's cars apart. That's why people around here can't keep a vehicle more than 5 years, because after that 5-year period, your vehicle is no good for the road because it's completely rusted out. Even after you've covered underneath with that shit that they spray underneath it, even with that, it still eats right through it. Okay, that doesn't help a goddamn thing. You're spending what, $200-300 on that for nothing. So I got to get them to fix that before I can get it inspected. So anyway, there's some local news here I wanted to bring up here from Penobscot Times. And this article here on the front page, it's entitled "Biomass Firm with Plants in Maine Files for Bankruptcy." A company that owns biomass electricity plants in West Enfield and Jonesboro and had access to millions in state subsidies to help it stay afloat has filed for bankruptcy, stating it owes $17.8 million to creditors, including an energy market investor, the state of Maine and New Hampshire and Maine loggers. Stored Solar LLC and all but one of its subsidiaries filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in September in U.S. Bankruptcy Court in Bangor. Chapter 11 of the Bankruptcy Code provides a way for companies to reorganize their operations. The filing comes 6 years after Maine lawmakers passed a $13 million bailout of the state's biomass industry, which uses waste wood to produce electricity with the aim of preserving electric plants and logging jobs. Stored Solar was one of the two companies to benefit from the subsidy package, which used taxpayer dollars to guarantee biomass producers above market prices for their electricity. But the company, which bought the West Enfield and Jonesboro plants in 2016 after previous owners, Covanta, shut them down, only ran the plants intermittently following the bailout's passage. The West Enfield plant hasn't produced power since December of 2020, while the Jonesboro plant last produced power earlier this year in June, according to records from the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Months into its restart efforts in West Enfield and Jonesboro, a trade association representing Maine loggers, the Professional Logging Contractors of Maine, alleged some of its members supplying Stored Solar weren't being paid. The company said in late March 2017 that it had paid the loggers and settled what it called an, quote, invoicing dispute, unquote, but Dana Doran, executive director of the Professional Logging Contractors of Maine, said this week that Stored Solar still has not repaid those debts. Also, in 2017, the company unveiled plans to open a shrimp farm in its West Enfield headquarters with the help of taxpayer loans. Stored Solar is owned by husband and wife William Harrington and Fahim Samaha, and is a subsidiary of Capergy US, which Harrington and Samaha also own. In addition to Maine, Stored Solar has biomass plants in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Vermont, and it lists West Enfield as its headquarters. All the company's locations, except for its facility in Reigate, Vermont, are attached to its bankruptcy filing. Quote, Stored Solar's objective is to see that all of its creditors are paid in full at the earliest possible time, unquote, said the Portland attorney George Marcus. Quote, the company believes that it has a viable and achievable pathway to bring about that result, unquote. Marcus said the company intends to present that plan at a Friday hearing in bankruptcy court. That Friday hearing will be held to determine if the company's bankruptcy should change from a Chapter 11 to a Chapter 7 case. Chapter 7 bankruptcies provide for liquidation of a company's assets to pay off debts. In its bankruptcy filing, Stored Solar listed 9 creditors whose claims are secured by company property and another 375 creditors who don't have secured claims. The creditors with secured claims against the company are prioritized for repayment in bankruptcy proceedings. The creditors with unsecured claims include a wide range of entities, including loggers, the Maine Department of Environmental Protection, to which the company owes permitting fees, cell phone service providers, and both the state of Maine and New Hampshire for expenses including unpaid taxes. The company's largest secured creditor, New York-based Hartree Partners, is owed $8.9 million according to court documents. Christ, I mean, these people seem to owe every Tom, Dick, and Harry around. You know, it sounds to me like there's some corruption there going on in that with that company. It's like all of a sudden they decide they just aren't going to pay anybody. Or it's just maybe they're not getting enough revenue. I don't know. It doesn't say anything in this article here about why they had this problem all of a sudden. And they have to go bankrupt. I don't know if they mention anything in there. I have to say though, as far as biomass goes, people seem to think that that's green energy. Well, it's not. Okay, they're still cutting trees down to make biomass. I mean, there's no such thing as what the hell? How did he word it in this damn thing? Something about wasted wood or something like that, I guess. There's no such thing as that, because wasted wood is still wood you cut from a tree, okay? And that was the whole point of one of the things is we're trying to save trees, because trees, you know, oxygen, you know, it does all that stuff, okay? And scientists have been saying that we're, you know, the rainforests are dying, and, you know, everything is, you know, pointing to a point where we're not going to have as much oxygen on the planet. Well, that's when they started arguing about cutting down logging and stop the logging and all that shit. And then people were buying wood chips, if you recall, to these indoor heaters, okay? And they were powering them with wood chips. Well, that was expensive, okay? Buying those fucking wood chips ain't cheap, okay? Because I know a guy who was buying them by the bunches there, big bags of that shit, and he'd leave a lot of it out in the garage. But he said he'd go through all that in the winter, but those things weren't cheap, those bags. But you know, he was burning that all the time, and I don't think people could afford to buy that anymore. I don't see a lot of people driving around anymore with truck beds full of fucking wood chips anymore, okay, and those big things. I think that was a fad that people went through, and it just didn't pay off. But at the same time, environmentalists were saying, well, if they're thinking that they're saving the environment by burning biomass, well, they're wrong, because this is what biomass is. And they would show you that they still have to cut down trees in order to make the wood chips that people burn in the thing. It's just another form. Instead of having logs putting into the fireplace, you're still putting wood, but it's in chips. You know, so it's not getting anybody anywhere. All right, and so I think the talk about, you know, using biomass energy for this and that kind of died down once people started to wake up to the fact that you're not saving the environment, you're actually contributing more to it, because more people were getting rid of oil and going to biomass to heat their homes in the wintertime. So that actually increased the amount of wood cutting that was going on that people were trying to keep folks from doing. All right. And if you take an airplane and you fly low over the state of Maine, you're going to see huge swaths of area that trees have been leveled in the state over the years, you know, for logging and wood chipping and stuff like that. So I'm thinking maybe that's probably one of the reasons why this company here is going bankrupt, is because people have slowly maybe not bought as much as they used to, and now these companies find themselves strapped financially. They can't pay their bills or something, and they're not making much profit in it anymore. And so it's best to just, you know, shut the thing down, go bankrupt, than it is to try to plow through it. But I think, you know, what's going on, I feel there's a more of a push now for solar panels and things like that. I don't know about you all at home, if you've noticed on TV and the commercials and stuff, there's a lot more talk about, oh, go buy a solar panel and put, you know, there's more of that going on than there was before. I mean, biomass was like the thing at the time, but that's kind of disappeared. You don't see that much on TV anymore. Now it's solar panels, okay? And right now, the solar panels are pricey, depending on what you get. But if there's more people buying them, then they got to make more, and then, you know, it'll be cheaper. But, you know, there's some discussion about, you know, the methods they use to make solar panels. I don't know if they still have to take from the environment to make these panels, and they have to, you know, dig up areas, you know, to find whatever materials they need to make those panels with. You know, so, I mean, look, anytime you make something out of what's around you, you're taking from the environment, okay? Whatever that may be. You can't build anything without taking from the environment. And we don't realize, we don't really sit down and think, you know, what they're doing, how often they take from the environment just to do their everyday things, okay? And I think it's because that we've gone so far down the wrong path in the Industrial Revolution that began in the early 20th century. We've gone so far down that road that we've lost sight of how we could have done things different, okay? How we could have done it differently. We can't imagine powering our lives with anything other than oil and gas and, you know, and whatever. And all along there probably was a way, but nobody was really interested in taking the other route, okay? It was more expedient to just use the oil and the gas because it was there, you know what I'm saying? It was already there. And talking about solar energy and hydropower and stuff like that was just, you know, they couldn't see the advantage to that. Plus, when you see people driving around in vehicles powered by gas and oil and stuff, and it caught on as quick as it did, it became part of our lives, like putting clothes on every day. And we went from there. I mean, imagine an Earth where that didn't happen, where we learned through the industrial evolution a different way that caught on, okay? And how would our world look in that world? You know, how would it look in that world? How those people have powered their lives, as opposed to oil and gas. They used solar power, hydropower. You know, how do you think the world would look then? You know, after, you know, in the same year we're in now, you know, what would their cars be like if they have cars? Would they be running on oil or gas, or would they be running on water or some other damn thing, you know? Would the inventions they created there be more elaborate than the inventions we have now? You know, electricity, how would they even power their lives with electricity? Would they use something else? I'm trying to think here, what else? What would be the big industry? Like, we know that oil and, you know, the petroleum industry and all is a big thing. What would their big industry be in that world? I mean, I always wondered that, you know, as, you know, I just sit and think about, you know, the environment and stuff and how we went. And I'm wondering, was there another way to go when the Industrial Revolution started? If we didn't find oil first, if we discovered something else first to power our lives, what would the Earth look like now? Okay, in this year, 2022, what would it look like, you know? Would people be paying as much in power, you know, every month in bills and things? Would they have the problem of the environment we have today, you know, right now here? I mean, would we be looking at global warming? You know, I don't know. I'd like to see, you know, some scientists kind of cogitate on that and see what he comes up with, to be honest with you, because they would probably be able to hammer out a better, or, well, not a better, let's just say not better, but a different outcome. And it'd be left up to us to decide whether it's a better outcome than our outcome. But I feel like we went down that path with the fossil fuels too quick, because it was more expedient for us to have that right off the bat, because we knew how to use it to create energy. But if say the scientists, whoever come up with that, didn't have that advantage, and some other scientists did and got to the ball field first with his idea, America might have gone down that path really quick, and the oil thing would have just died, you know, and we wouldn't be drilling for it, we wouldn't be exploring for it, we wouldn't be wasting effort trying to get our hands on it. It might have changed the way the wars worked out, you know, who knows? I mean, it could have changed so much, you know, in a different way, you know. I still say California's problem with water can be solved if they just build more goddamn desalination plants up and down the coast. The seawater, it's right there. If they want water, they got water right there on the fucking beaches, for Christ's sake. You know, why can't they take that water, fix it so it's drinkable, and pump that into the cities? They wouldn't have to worry about the fucking river, the Colorado River and all that other shit behind them that's drying up. Okay? You know, where is the brain power when it comes to that? People who are stranded in the ocean, okay, get this. People who are stranded in the ocean because their ship or whatever went down and they're in a lifeboat, they know how to take the moisture from the air and make that into water that they can drink, because you can't drink seawater, right? It's just going to make your thirst worse. And, you know, even this most basic science can teach you how to do something like that to survive. Now, why can't they come up with the same goddamn engineering practice to help those people out in Los Angeles, San Diego, all the way up the fucking coastline, okay, where they need the water the most, okay? The ocean, the biggest fucking area to get water there is, okay, and yet they ignore it. Okay, they're too focused on, oh, we got to get the water from over here, because, you know, it's comes down from the Rocky Mountains or whatever, and it goes into the river, and, you know, and we can suck it right out of the river. Well, yeah, it's quicker that way. You know, it's quicker to do it that way than it is to spend money to build something that'll be there, okay, and you won't ever have to worry about running short of water, because, hey, if you run short of water, it means the ocean's drying up. All right? So, you know, somebody over there in that part of our country that has all these droughts every year, driving people mad, okay, they need to stop and think, look, it's time to put the money where our muscle is, okay? We got brain power out there. We know how to fix this problem. We just got to have the courage and the will to do it. You know, that's what they got to do out there. It's an easy fix. I just wish they would think of that, but no, I guess whenever they start talking about building something, which should be a good thing because that's creating jobs, right? You know, people going to work. When it's talking about building something, they no, we're not spending no money on that. You know, I don't know, but like I said, it's a problem that, you know, if people are willing to fix it, to change what is, they can do it. They can, you know. So, anyway, that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Stay tuned into your local COVID-19 and monkeypox news. And please subscribe and comment so I can hear from you all on what you want to hear me talk about or something. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So be nice to each other and take care.